What's happening, good people? Welcome to the channel. I'm Wes, aka Mr. Budget Watch. Today we're going to be reviewing this Pagani PD-1702. So this is one of their new-ish releases, and it was kindly provided to the channel at a small discount. But you guys know by now that doesn't really change my opinion. So the store link for this will be down in the description if you want to check one out for yourself. So let's get the sizes out of the way, and then we'll talk a little bit more in detail about, if it's got any issues or if it's actually a Pagani without QC issues. Let's do that. So size-wise, we're looking at 42mm diameter, and it's 45.1 with the crown. The lug to lug is 49.8mm, so it is approaching 50 and a little bit long for some, maybe. The crown is 5.7mm, so it's actually really small, and you can just see how small it is sat between those crown guards. Thickness is 12.9mm, and we have a standard lug width of 20mm. Sized up for me, it weighs 141 gram, 316L stainless steel case and bracelet. Sapphire crystal, which has been confirmed, and 200 meters of water resistance, but obviously that hasn't been confirmed, and to be honest, I probably wouldn't trust it at that depth, to be quite fair. So that's all that out of the way. Let's dive in and talk a little bit more about this watch. As always, we usually start from the bezel and work our way inwards. So this bezel is a unidirectional bezel, 120 click, which is really nice to see. I'm glad that they're finally shifting away from the 90 click, which they usually do, which is rather annoying. I'd rather have 60 or 120, because 90 just really doesn't make any sense. But anyway, let's test the action, and it's actually, it's not bad. Tiny, probably the least backplay I've ever had from a Pagani watch. The insert is ceramic, by the way, I forgot to mention. But yeah, the action, really nice. Nicely defined clicks, plenty of grip as well, probably the grippiest bezel I've had from Pagani. All lines up as it should. So yeah, definitely one of the better inserts I've had, one of the best bezels I've had from Pagani so far, so it's looking good for now. So we've got a little tiny loom pip at the 12 o'clock, and then we've got little batons all the way around to 15, and then we've got numerals at every 10 minutes. The printing quality is actually really nice on this. I've not noticed any sort of really horrible discernible smudges or anything, so thumbs up for the bezel. Moving in, you can see we have a white minute track and some applied circular indices. We also have batons at the 3, 6, 9 and 12. And they're all like smaller truncated ones, because we have some oversized numerals and a date window at that 3 o'clock. So the numerals are applied, and they all have a high polish border, which I think looks really nice. And do you know what? The standard of them is pretty good. They're all nicely leveled, they're not wonky, and I think they look pretty good. So good job there. So looking at the handset, you can see they are a Longines style, because obviously this is a hydronconquest homage. But you can see they are slightly beveled, so they do play with the light nicely. So we have the iconic, hour, a fence post style minute, and then of course we've got the little seconds with a lollipop on it. And I think the handset is really nice. Obviously Pagani can't take credit for the design because it's not their own, but I think they've done a good job with it. Under the 12 o'clock, we've got Pagani's logo and design printed, and then we've got automatic, water resist, 200 meter, and it says Japan movement right at the bottom. So taking a look at that dial next, you can see it is a very, very lovely shade of blue, and we do have a vertical design work in it. It's actually not a flat dial, it does have some texture, and it's like a brushed finish. I think that just adds an extra little element to the watch, and I think it makes it look a little bit more premium. The date window though, it's white, contrasts a little bit too much. I would rather see that gone and have a 3 in place to keep it nice and symmetrical. I'm really not starting to like date windows, as you guys have probably noticed. Yes, they're useful, but I'm kind of preferring symmetry at the minute, and this just sort of throws it off for me. I know that's what it is, but I think it would be cool to see one without the date window as well, for people that don't like them. But anyway, the dial, bezel and everything is actually really good, no issues there. Moving on to the side profile, you can see we've got a full high polished finish, nice downturn to those lugs, and then we've got a pretty nice transition actually between the high polish and the brushing at the top of the lugs. You can also see how lovely that profile is in the case as well, and how it tapers and flows down into the lugs. So really nice quality brushing on the top of the lugs as well, really fine satinized. So good job. Moving on to this side, you can see we've got some really quite substantial crown guards and these faux like Allen head design art. I'm not really a fan of those, to be quite fair. I think the Guanjin did that a little bit better, but you know, they've done something a little bit different, and you know, can appreciate different. The crown next, we've already covered the size. It's actually signed. We've got a little high polish logo and like sand bead blasted finish in the center. To me, the crown looks a little bit small, to be quite honest. If you look at the you know, hydronconquest, which it's based on, the crown is quite large. This one just looks a little bit lost in those crown guards. You can see how big a gap there is between it, but you know, it just doesn't look quite right. I think it should have been a little bit larger in diameter. So yeah, that is that. Moving quickly on to that case back, you can see we have one of Pagani's newer designs. It is screwed down, which is always nice to see. And this is the same design as on the PD-1702, which I recently reviewed. And I think it's really nice. It's done to a good standard, and I like that they're doing something different with their case backs now. So now, before we get on to the bracelet and comfort, we're going to talk quickly about loom. So let's talk about this bracelet. You can see it is brushed and polished in the center. We do have a female end link and then these really large links, but they don't actually protrude past those lugs, which is nice to see. Bracelet articulation is really nice. Good amount of flex in it. High polished sides. Yeah, good quality so far. Very, very nice. Finishing is good quality. So no issues really there. You can also see we've got this like really strange link at the end, and we've just got push pins holding it together. The clasp is milled, but it's a little bit different than usual. As you can see, it's got like these beveled edges. You just see them there. Really, really unusual. Got this nice elegant taper. I quite like the design actually, but it's not perfect. As you can see, we've got this really tiny clasp and no extension, no micro adjust or anything. So if it doesn't fit you, you're kind of stuck. Luckily, this just fits me, but I'll talk more about that in a minute. We've got double security pushers, brushing, and a really cool little badge that does actually look ever so slightly wonky. You can see it's just a little bit higher at that left side, which is a little bit of a shame. You can just see there, it's like a little bit closer to the edge than at that side. I said in my unboxing video that I wish that that was the button. I think that would be really cool if they could do that. All in all though, for the bracelet, I mean, it's a mixed bag. Wish it had micro adjust, but the quality of the finishing is good. Articulation is good, solid links, solid end links. It's a good quality bracelet. I just wish it had more, you know, had a greater ability to be, you know, sized better. You know, so there is that. So what we're going to do now is pop this on wrist and show you what it wears like. Right guys, so here it is on my 6-inch wrist, and you can see I do get a smidge of overhang because this is a little bit more than my slim wrist can accommodate, unfortunately. The size for this one, I would say 6 3/4 inches and above would probably be the sweet spot for this watch. It probably would fit at 6.5, you know, fine, but I think the diameter and the lug to lug, it definitely needs to be 7, you know, and above in my opinion for it to look better. But yeah, I think, you know, they've done a nice balance. The bezel and dial look decently in proportion. The only thing that does look a little bit out of proportion to me is those indices. I think they are a little bit small. They could have been doing with being a little bit larger in my opinion. But anyway, back to comfort. It's reasonably comfortable. It's definitely not the most comfortable Pagani or watch I have ever tested, and the reason is because of that bracelet, but we'll talk about that in a second. So looking at that profile, you can see it is quite nice. It does hug quite well. We don't have an exhibition case back, so it's not riding high. I do like that it does conform to my wrist a little bit better. Of course, we've got those downturn lugs, which does help too. Bracelet is actually pretty decent. You know, this portion of the bracelet, fine, good articulation, nice and smooth finishing, so it doesn't sort of dig into your wrist or anything, so good job there. That is my only issue. No micro adjust. Definitely needed 2 or 3 for it to fit better, because it is either too tight or too loose for me. There's no happy medium, unfortunately. Of course, obviously, you could swap out the bracelet, get something else, but, you know, as is, the standard one it fits. But I'm just going to show you a quick video, actually, of after wearing this watch for, you know, a few hours, to show you what it actually did to my wrist. Now, it's not painful or anything, it's not, like, hurting, but it really does dig into my wrist, unfortunately. A little bit of a shame, but again, putting an extra link in and it's too big, so I can't really win. And you can also see that, look, the bracelet you have to sort of push it, because, yeah, the clasp is the issue, really, with this bracelet. The bracelet itself is fine. I'm wondering if you could actually swap out that clasp, you know, and put a different one on, but looking at the design, I'm not sure if that's possible. So now let's talk about the movement and in use. Right guys, so power in this watch is not the Seiko NH35, as we all know. There is a little bit of a shortage of those at the minute. So this is using the Miyota 8215. To be honest, I'd rather it had the newer, is it YN55 or something, which is basically a Seiko NH35. Is it by Epson, I think? I could be wrong. I'll correct myself, but I think it's the YN55, which is basically, like I said, an NH35. I wish it had that instead of this Miyota, because this one is a little bit noisy. But then again, Miyota 8000 series are. So 42-hour power reserve, 21,600 beats per hour. Hand and auto winding, so you can actually wind it with the crown and also with the rotor. No hacking though, which is one of the benefits of a Seiko NH35. 21 joules, negative 20 to plus 40 seconds per day. Accuracy has been, you know, it's been fine. It's running a smidge fast, but nothing really major. What I don't like though is just how noisy these movements are, and it is a noisy movement. Just seems by design, really. So actually using the crown, like I said, it's very, very small, and it is quite hard to actually get a grip on. And I've only got slim fingers, so, you know, if you've got really thick fingers, you're going to have a hard time using this one. So pop it out one, and you can see that's your winding phase. Pop it out again, and I should be able to adjust the date, which you can see just ticking over there. It is quick set, which is always nice. The crown doesn't inspire much confidence though. It doesn't feel all that nice. The grip isn't that good, and it is too small in my opinion. Pull it out again, you can see we can adjust your time. Obviously it doesn't hack, so getting accurate timing is a little bit of an issue. But this crown isn't inspiring much confidence at all. It's definitely not the best or solid feeling one, and there is a little bit of feedback through the crown as well, so it's definitely not the best. Pushing it back in, push it in, and then you should be able to twist it, but it's not the easiest to do. I mean, I've managed to get it this time and it's screwed in properly, but yeah, the crown definitely could have been doing, you know, being about an extra mil bigger in my opinion, just to make it a little bit more user friendly. So now we get on to the verdict. So this watch is £107 from the store I got it from. Obviously, you know, shop around and get it cheaper. 80 quid usually price when it's in sale. So I would definitely recommend waiting until sales to pick one of those up. In my opinion, it's actually one of the better Paganis I've had. The bezel action is actually really good. Minimal back play, feels really solid, good defined clicks. I think the dial design is really nicely done. Again, they can't take credit, it's not their design. My only real big complaints about this watch: the crown, too small. That date window, there needs to be a no date option as well in my opinion. And also the clasp. They're my two really big gripes with this. That and the crown. Other than that though, it's actually a pretty solid watch. I mean, obviously, like I said, you can swap out the bracelet if you want to get it on, say, a third-party bracelet, or maybe even a nice silicone, leather strap, whatever takes your fancy. But yeah, the bracelet is a mixed bag, and that crown is just not good. It needed to be bigger, better grip, and better feeling as well. But other than that, you know, if you can pick one of these up for sale price, I think it's a good buy. 100 quid, it's a little bit of a tougher sell in my opinion. Thanks for watching the video. Be sure to subscribe if you haven't already. Like the video if you enjoyed it. Hit that notification bell so you don't miss any uploads. And of course, follow me on social media at Mr. Budget Watch. Thanks again. I'll see you soon.